Hi, I'm Dick Kurtz. We're back at the San Diego Automotive Museum Restoration Shop, and I have with me today Chuck Deanna, and we're talking about engines. Chuck, when is it advisable to get a new engine versus keeping the old engine?
Well, if your old engine is too worn to be rebuilt, then it's advisable to probably pick up a long block or a short block and put all your related equipment on it.
You say long block versus short block. What does that mean?
Long block is the block with pistons, crank, cam, and the heads, manifold, and probably the water pump on it, where a short block is just basically the bare block with no heads and just new pistons, bearings, etc.
So you take some of the old engine parts and put them on the short block. Okay.
Yes.
Now, what is a rebuild? You mentioned a rebuild engine.
Rebuild is taking your engine totally apart, discarding all of the worn parts and replacing them with aftermarket or factory replacement parts.
And how easy is that to find parts?
Not too bad, unless the engine is really old, as the one we have here. Then you can probably get some of the parts, but you try to salvage as much as you can off the original engine.
Okay, now you're rebuilding this engine, I understand. What is this?
This is a 1916 Willys Overland 4-cylinder. It's in the process of being refurbished right now. We don't have to rebuild a lot because most of it's in pretty good shape. We're just cleaning it up, checking all the tolerances, and reassembling it.
Okay, now the ordinary guy might not have the capability of doing this. How do you find a machine shop, and what does a machine shop do?
Well, a machine shop can pretty well go through the whole rebuild process. They will take your old engine, boil it out, clean it up. If your cylinders are worn, they'll bore the engine out so the cylinders, the new pistons will fit, and pretty much recondition all your parts.
And how do you find a good machine shop?
Well, your best bet is probably word of mouth or car club, hot rodders, go to car shows, visit people that have worked on their cars, and get word of mouth.
Now, we're members of the Overland, the Willys Overland Night Registry Car Club, and have they been helpful in this rebuild?
Yes, we've been able to get old manuals and be able to talk to some of the club members on different questions we've had on reassembling the engine.
Okay, good. Now, we hear the terminology matching numbers. I see in Corvette ads matching numbers. Is that real important?
Yes, if you have a classic car or an antique car and you're restoring it to original, it's worth a lot more money if the engine numbers match the block, or match the chassis numbers.
I see. Another term we hear is balancing and blueprinting. What does that refer to?
Well, blueprinting an engine is having it totally disassembled and all the parts brought to factory specifications as in the engineer's blueprints. It's not done that often anymore.
Okay.
Balancing is taking all the rotating and reciprocating assembly of the engine to a reputable machine shop, and they will weigh all the pistons and match them, the rods. The crank will be turned and balanced, and also turned and balanced with the flywheel and clutch assembly if you have one.
So all the reciprocating parts are really in tune with each other?
Yeah, it eliminates a lot of vibration on the engine.
What does something like that cost?
Oh, probably around $250 to $300.
Okay, and is that worth the cost to do?
Very much so, yes.
Okay.
To have a much better running engine.
Now we hear the term also porting and relieving. Is that something you would do normally?
Not normally, no. If you're building a racing engine or a high-performance engine, you would port the heads, which is matching them to your exhaust and intake manifolds so that everything flows smoothly. Polishing, you can clean up a lot of the rough spots in there for a better flow, but you want to leave it a little rough to break up the mixture that's coming in.
Okay, well Chuck, thank you very much. It's very enlightening on engines. So we'll see you next week. This is Dick Kurtz, and it's all about the car.